Pioneers, what it is.
We have not opened any of our dining areas in the shop, but we're still doing takeout, and people can still come in and buy cheese and beer and take it with them.
Yeah. Oh, so great. Tom, are we live and ready to go?
We are now live, recording on the cloud and on the Facebook. Hello, everybody who is watching on the watch party. Take us away, Evan.
Okay, so like I was saying, I want to take this opportunity. My name's Evan Baugh. I run Tennessee as the market for Edrington. Tonight's my night with the digital Speakeasy, and I thought it would be fun. We could have a nice, relaxing night and actually get y'all out of the house a little bit. So as we were talking just a minute ago, there's so many places that aren't quite open, or they're slowly kind of creeping back into it. Tennessee as a whole is open, but the major markets, Nashville, Chattanooga, Memphis, Knoxville, we're all still taking it kind of slow. But I figured if you actually wanted to get out and have a drink somewhere, let's have it somewhere fun. So tonight I'm sitting at the Red Phone Booth, which is a Nashville speakeasy where outside the building it's pretty much all black, but there is a English style red phone booth that sits right out front. And if you're a member or know the right people, you can get a code to that phone and it'll let you into this bar. One of the great things about this bar, they have an amazing menu. They have a 7,000 stick cigar humidor, and they allow smoking in here. It's very dark, very lovely. There's leather couches, fireplaces, beautiful artwork. And that noise you're actually hearing is an absolutely amazing air heater system that I will let them talk to you about. Kenichi, could we do a smoked penicillin tonight? So as you can see at their bar, there's actually plexiglass that has been put up by the well. And currently there isn't actually seating at the bar, but for people to come up and talk to the bartenders, place orders, sort of hang out while they're waiting to be seated. So there's plexiglass that covers halfway up the bar and all the way across. But as you can tell, they have a beautiful back bar. They do a ton of scotch, whiskeys, bourbons, rums, great wine list. It's something unbelievable. And if you're ever here, you need to make sure, if you're deciding to have it in Macallan, that there's a ice ball with your name on it.
Showing off. I love it.
So for those of y'all who forgot what it looks like to have bartenders actually make you a drink.
I'm so jealous right now. I would give anything to be there, like anything.
It's nice because it's low key, it's laid back, it's beautiful, but they have an unreal selection. This smoked penicillin I'm getting is actually going to be rinsed with Highland Park Volknut, which, if you have the means, I highly recommend it. Just adds an extra little beautiful smoky layer to everything. But it is weird just because sitting at a bar feels different now for some reason.
And Evan, I see he's wearing a mask and gloves.
He is. That is state mandate, but state mandate. They do a very good job of being exceptionally clean, organized.
But guests do not?
What was that?
Do guests have to wear masks and gloves as well?
No, guests do not. And like I was saying before, literally the air quality in this building is better than a wing in a hospital. So that is the only reason why I think a lot of people will get a different level of sort of comfort with actually sitting somewhere and not having to do so. When I say smoked penicillin, I mean really smoked penicillin. It's kind of pulls your back up on. It's a whole different experience.
Next time you come in for cheese, let's just trade. Bring me some whiskey.
Yes, I agree with this. The two things that I love the most is just they take their own ice and they get it in giant sheets and they hand cut it themselves as well. It is unbelievable. Thank you so much, Panichi. Yes, so it isn't always sort of sit up at the bar, grab your own drink, but you know the right people every now and then. Kind of works out. So the great part about this cocktail is because they do a heavy smoke program, they do house smoked old fashions. It's kind of one of their go-tos. But I love it with classic Scotch drinks like the penicillin because you get that citrus and they actually smoke the ginger as well. It just gives it a richness to it. Yeah. So they make that traditionally with Famous Grouse Smoky Black, which has it is a blended whiskey, so it's got a touch of sweetness to it, but it's got a little bit of that peat smoke. And then when you rinse the glass with something like a Highland Park walnut, you get a darker, richer floral smoke to it. And then this has the touch of citrus and ginger, so it really does balance out really well. Does anybody have any questions about the bar? We'll see if Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan, would you talk to them for a second about kind of the bar, the idea behind it, and kind of what makes it kind of different than any other bar you're going to find?
Sure, guys. Guys, how are you? I'm John Helm, the GM here at Red Phone Booth Nashville. This is the second Red Phone Booth. The original one is in Atlanta.
I have been. I was a frequent flyer at the Atlanta store. So I thought I saw something familiar there.
Like Atlanta, you'll love Nashville. We are that shiny new penny. 5,600 square feet here. Same Neapolitan pizza that they do there. A bigger back room, private space, pool table. Actually, I'm in the room right now.
It looks a lot bigger.
Yeah. So this is the back room. Private back room. Fits about 25 people back here. There's the pool table that we can't use right now. Not allowed.
Exactly.
Was that actually, like, did the governor come in and say, and no pool tables?
They said no parlor games is what they call them. So parlor games include shuffleboard, pool tables, ping pong is a parlor game, and darts.
It feels very 1920s. No parlor game.
Totally.
They don't want any shared, like sharing pool sticks or stuff like that. I guess it's bizarre. But our experience here, typically you enter through our red phone booth outside like you would in Atlanta. Semi-private members club, about 470 members here already. And thank God for that. We got a nice push for those guys when we reopened again. They were really excited to come back in the building. I don't know whatever told you about what we did to the building. It's like a hospital in here, essentially. It is some of the most advanced air purification system in the world. And one of the reasons we were able to spend on it and we didn't feel bad spending on it is because we're a cigar lounge to begin with, right? So it's not like it's going to hurt us at any given point. We put these needlepoint bipolar ionizers on the unit on the roof, and then one on every smog hog here in the building. What those guys do is when you run electric current through them, they ion, positive and negative, and they interact with the water vapor in the air and create free radicals. Free radicals then beat up all the pathogens, so all the microorganisms, all the viruses, mold spores, and bacteria. They all just essentially get dissipated. Treated with a monofoil treatment, or this called Clean Well, and essentially what they did is they lay this covalent bond electrostatically over every hard surface in the whole place, and it lasts about 45 days. And bacteria and stuff can't exist on it. So the place is literally like a hospital. It is that clean.
The drinks are much better than a hospital. I can tell you that right now. And did you tell them about the pizza oven as well? Because that is one of those things.
No, I can. I'm going to show it to you right now. I'll pop in the window and see. I'm just back there. So that is, let's see.
So Tommy, this is for you guys.
So that is a Acuto oven from Italy. That oven, I can go into the kitchen. Hold on. So let me just throw my mask back on. Give me 1 second.
Evan, are you implying that all Italians just love pizza? I think it's Americans love pizza,
I
right?
was like, Jeremy, I haven't heard anything yet, and I feel like you should be chiming in at any moment now.
Tommy just channeled through me and just wanted me to say, "Hey, that looks like a good pizza maker right there."
When they were doing the build out in this building, and it's this New York style, and the pizzas they put out are phenomenal, but literally they can put out pizzas from that thing in like 4 minutes.
When you first mentioned this place, Evan, I literally was like, that looks just like the place in Atlanta I always used to go to. And then I wondered, did they steal it from Atlanta? And I'll just sort of let this sort of fly out.
You're like, I'll be cool about it for now, but I think it's quite literally theft.
Well, I mean, it was a red phone booth. It was one of my favorite things to do in Atlanta. Atlanta's a great city, and of course, Nashville's like one of the cities I miss the most, in the world is Nashville. But it'll fit perfectly in there. I love it. Looks like a ninja is making me a pizza right now. We've never had ninja pie before.
What everybody needs.
Evan, where is it exactly in Nashville? I spent a lot of time in Nashville last year, back to back.
Okay, so where you put your event on for the Marriott people?
Yes, yeah.
Almost, it's like across the street. You could literally hit it with a football from.
Oh, wow.
So it's still on 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all the boots that I bought at Boot Barn and everything else, like when I get back to Nashville, I'm just going to go there.
You would love this place. It is just.
I love the ceiling behind you. Like, that is so cool. So
They
what is
have
that?
those
Can you describe that to us?
throughout, and it adds this great ambient lighting. I'm sitting in the back so that you can actually see me sort of kind of by the bathrooms, and I'm out sort of away from the bar. But when you get into the bar and you have all these beautiful ceiling panes, it's just really nice, and it adds a really nice ambiance to sitting out there. They have all these amazing leather couches that people can sit on, and like I was showing you, they do have a huge humidor full of cigars, but because they have this insane amount of air eating ability, like I've sat in here for 2 or 3 hours, brought friends in and hung out, and I'm like, oh, I see people smoking. Oh, I hope it's not an issue. And then I get home and I'm like, no, I'm not. Like,
So last year, I think we were at the Standard, right? So it's right across the street. But is Nashville doing something with shutting down the streets and letting people do more open air patios, like a lot of cities are doing?
It depends on where you are, because like in Chattanooga, there's some little bars that have restaurants next to them, but there's certain areas like Murphy Road and some of the East Nashville places. But we haven't seen a ton of people utilize that space. We can still do drinks to go, and you can go to your favorite burger place and get a burger, and buy like a beer for the road. That hasn't been opened, of course, but just to sort of help support the restaurants and bars. But all the places that have patios are just trying to crank out patio business. I mean, they're trying to space them out and do it the right way, but in downtown Broadway, you're seeing a lot of people walking around down there, but it isn't the same because we are still not up to the part to where we can do live music. So
I saw something though on the news today, I forget what day it is now, but where in Nashville, people are allowed now to do live music like Tootsie's if they have food. If you don't have food, if it's just a bar, you can. But if you have food, you can.
People.
yeah. But speaking of food, oh my God, I love watching this thing.
Are you gonna get to eat that pizza, Evan?
I'm going to eat a lot of cheese. I don't even know what he's making, but I've been drooling over cheese for like all day.
Yeah.
And that little oven is crazy because it's up on stilts. It isn't even that big, but it's It is like ceramic tiles. It looks like something that came out of NASA. Literally. It's like the cone to Apollo 11.
It's from Naples, and Italians made it.
Italian engineers, aeronautic engineers.
The pizzeria engineers is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. When you go to Naples, these spots are amazing, and you always wonder how come we just can't do that in the U.S. And then guys like Jonathan are doing it. Because it's all about the oven and the water, and that's it. You get good oven, good water, you're all set.
It's I've been in Naples from New York. I take my pizza super seriously. This is the one thing I don't like about true Neapolitan pizza is that whole pocket fold, right? Where it's like droopy in the middle. They put a little too much olive oil on it for me, and you have to fold it over yourself. This we've narrowed down to a 12-inch pie. Comes out of the oven 6 slices. It comes out of the oven 90 seconds. It's meant to be eaten within like 5 minutes, and it is just like next level stuff, man.
It's true. You have to eat it right away because and it's one of those pizzas that the next day just is not good. It just doesn't taste right the next day. You got to eat it up.
So I heard somebody ask about the ceilings as well. So every single panel in the ceiling was hand painted. So there's an artist that did same thing with Atlanta. If you've been to Atlanta, it's the same artist did every single panel. So they're clear acrylics, and she paints 3 different colors on them, and then she actually gets an acetate and wipes them down so they look like this. The place is bananas, dude.
It all looks like stained glass too. Like I was in here when they were doing the finishing build out, and I was watching her do some of these tiles. It was just, I was like, somebody literally does these all by hand, and they're handmade to do all these, to cover these light fixtures, and it's fantastic.
How long has it been open for, Jonathan or Evan?
So this one kind of hit right in the, right before the storm all came, quite literally.
Oh, wow.
Between the tornadoes, COVID, and then all the storms we've just had. 2020 is tricky. It's tricky for Nashville. It's a special animal.
Wow.
But because they have so many members, and because they have so many like people who know the experience from Atlanta, like they had a lot of people in Atlanta who would come down from Nashville just to go and hang out there for the weekend and bring friends, and a lot of music industry people, and they have a lot of friends in the movie industry. As you know, like in Atlanta, there's a lot of filming that goes on down there. So they would have a lot of people who would hang out in Atlanta in that industry. And so when they were doing the opening up here, it was cool. I got to sneak in, and I was like, oh, I know them. Oh, they're famous. Oh, there's a. Because when you're in Nashville, you see music people all the time. Because it's Nashville, you can just kind of go anywhere and see music people. A lot of country music people, but you'd see like Jack White, because you were talking about Third Man and stuff. He looks like a ghost haunting a building, by the way, when you see him walk around.
He came through while we were at Third Man, and my wife and I and some friends were in there just sort of geeking out, and we played a song in the booth and got a little record, and then Jack actually walked through, bumped into my wife, who's a petite ballerina, and he looked like a vampire. She was just like, ah, 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 and we all went, and then he just sort of jetted out, and we laughed, or like, Nosferatu just came through. Wow.
He is a haunting individual.
Looks like a rock star, though. Looks like a rock star.
But he's
True
like
or false? Yeah, Jack White is 7.5 feet tall. I read it on the internet.
Yeah, no, when you see him in person, he doesn't look like a real person. You're like a giant marionette puppet with like white face, black hair, and just like.
Yeah. And God bless him. I love him. Yeah.
All right. I have drooled over this far too long. Jesse, let's talk cheese.
Yeah, man.
For reals. Okay. So please tell us a little bit about the shop and sort of how you got into it, your background. Because I deal with alcohol people all the time, like whiskey producers and all this and stuff. Let's talk cheese.
All right, yeah, so we're a cut to order cheese shop in Chattanooga, Tennessee. the one and only. Really in all of East Tennessee. There was one in Nashville for a little while, but it is no longer there. So
That's right. I travel for my cheese. I put in the work, Jesse.
Yeah.
Do it.
We took care of those other guys, so you had to come down here. Yeah, so I've been in the cheese world for a little over 10 years now, and I was disappointed, being into gourmet foods. East Tennessee hasn't always been the place that you wanted to be, if that was your forte. We've come a long way, but we just really, there was a lack of, other than Whole Foods, there was really a lack of specialty artisan products being, pushed in the city. So, I took matters into my own hands. My wife and I opened this shop. Will have been 3 years in November, so we got about 2.5 years under our belt now. And so our goal is to just find all these small producers from not only around the US, but from around the world that really just don't have a presence, especially in this market. So all the guys that work here, we've all worked together for years and years, and we've all been in the specialty food industry, whether it be beverage, spirits, food, cooking, pretty much every aspect of the food world. And so we all just got together and we are sharing our passion for the food that we love.
So Jesse, you've got some initials after your name as well.
Mm-hmm.
What do those denote?
So that is ACS-CCP. So that's American Cheese Society Certified Cheese Professional. So that's a certification that you can get through the American Cheese Society now.
Please tell me it's a badge. Please tell me you have a badge, Jesse.
I do. I sewed it on my hat, though.
I love that.
So that's that right there. The closest thing to compare it to, really, I guess, would be sommelier, just because it is a deep dive test into every aspect of cheese making. So it's pairing cheese, it's identifying cheese, it's breeds of cow, it's everything that goes into cheese is covered in the test that you have to take. So it was a tough test for sure. I got mine in 2012. That was the first year it was offered. At the time, after that test, 160 people took the test that first year, and I think about 120 people passed. So they do it once a year. I guess this year it'll be virtual because the American Cheese Society Conference was recently canceled. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's what that is.
So as far as cheese pairing with spirits, so I have done a McAllen and cheese event with the Blue Fox, and everybody loved it. Everybody went nuts. So he was nice enough to do me a small selection of cheeses, and we were going to discuss sort of pros and cons with pairing them and doing events and sort of how they'd work. Oh my God, the San Angel is just, oh. So how would you how would you pair? So we've got the Jasper Hills Alpha Tolman, the San Angel, this amazing cheese, the Alpine Blossom.
Yeah.
We've got La Mousse Signature, the Gouda.
Yep.
And our absolutely beautiful Sequachico Blue. So where would we start as far as the cheeses and kind of what you would pair them with?
So really, the cheeses that I gave you are all across the board. I mean, you've got a little bit of everything except for goat. The Alp Blossom and the Alpha Tolman are kind of similar styles of cheese. They're both Alpine style cheeses, which is going to give you a nutty flavor profile. They're going to be harder. They're going to have the crystallization. Those are tyrosine crystals. So a lot of people think when you bite into an aged cheese and you get those little crunchy bits, a lot of people think that's salt. It's not. It's actually an amino acid called tyrosine.
So this aged Gouda, you can see
Yeah.
it. I mean,
Yeah,
it
you
looks
can
like
definitely see it.
butternut squash almost in there.
Yeah.
It's
I believe Evan, it's
What? I think you just dog cussed me in silence. What'd you say?
I said, I believe it's pronounced Howda.
It's, yeah. We can't actually pronounce it right now because you have to spit on the person in front of you to say it correctly.
Yeah, that is social
So
distancing.
that's actually not
right there.
cool right now.
But now, does that add just a textural, just that really dry, crisp? Because it almost does taste like it has been like cured like ham or something.
It does. And not only that, tyrosine is one of the building blocks of L-DOPA. So when they say that aged cheese makes you happy, that's science. It's chemically altering your brain to make you happy. So that's good. But so a lot of those more aged cheeses will hold up a little better, when you're doing, say, a Scotch pairing or something like that. A lot of the fresher cheeses, they hold up better to fruit forward spirits and wines. So we used the triple cream, I think which one did we do? Did we do that with the sherry cask?
Yeah, we did that with our, I think we did that with the Sherry Oak 12.
So where you get a little bit more of that fruit coming forward, those softer cheeses will play on that a little bit. The cheese that you have there is actually different than the one that we used. The one that we used for the mac and cheese pairing was Pierre Robert. So a lot of we're having trouble.
I was going to ask you about tariffs and if it's still a thing.
So tariffs, everybody pretty much forgot about tariffs. It's just right now.
Not you and not us.
Well, no, right. We were lucky in the heat of that whole battle. We got lucky because a lot of our distributors stocked up a little bit beforehand, which you can do on the aged cheeses, not so much on the fresh cheeses. So we did have to source a lot more domestically produced items for, which you can't call a brie that's produced in America actually a brie. We can, because in America we do whatever we want. But technically, Steve, if we were in Europe, a brie that was produced in, Indiana wouldn't be a brie. It'd just be a soft ripened cheese. So we were lucky to, we have a lot of great American producers. So we were able to source a lot more stuff domestically during that time. So then that kind of didn't hit us as hard as we thought it would. Honestly, COVID is affecting our supply chain way more than the European tariffs did, several months ago. Just because a lot of the producers also, they just scaled back because they didn't want to overproduce and be stuck with a stockpile of soft ripened cheese that goes bad in 3 weeks. So a lot of these people have just scaled back on their production, and it's really, now we're starting to see that now more than we have in the past.
I was wondering how that was going to affect kind of, how long is the futures out on things like that? Like, do they have to plan out 3 months, 6 months, a year?
So a lot of times, so we have, when we pre-order from Europe, we have each week of the year is a different file. It's called a file. So if you're in, file 36 would be what you want to order for the 36th week of 2020. So a lot of those orders that we do are done, 6 months in advance. So a lot of the stuff that we are seeing coming in now, we actually ordered before anybody even knew what was, what was about to happen. So it's kind of interesting in that, we're seeing a lot of stuff that normally we would just be able to get all the time isn't available anymore.
So
Can I ask whether or not the guys who you said you had to source more in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you're getting comparable product?
Sure. Yeah.
So it sounds to me like, that's kind of a good shift, for these producers who are making great things, but people seem to think in their head, oh, it's got to be from France, and that's where the good stuff is.
We have always relied very heavily on, we try to source as much local product as we can, no matter what it is. So, and regionally and, from the US. So a lot of our cheeses are American interpretations of classic European cheeses. There are some exceptions like Outblossom, which I've asked. Like, there's not another cheese like that. There's literally nothing else that I could source. That is an Austrian cheese that they go through and pick all the wildflowers from the fields in Austria and coat the rind in it. And so that's kind of a one-of-a-kind thing. So when I say that we are sourcing more, that's not to say that we weren't before. It's just now, when somebody comes in and they say, hey, I want a Stilton, you're not, normally we would have a Stilton just to, satiate that need because people, feel better about themselves, I guess, when they have the true thing. And we've always had, so one of the other cheeses that he has is Fredonia, which is from Sequatchie Cove, which is 45 minutes away from our cheese shop. And so that right now is our version of a Stilton. So that is our local cheesemaker's version of a Stilton. And Sequatchie Cove, I mean, they've been winning, they've won awards all over the world, which is incredible that they are so close to us. But all their cheeses are modeled after European cheeses. So,
wasn't the cheese of the year last year from California? What is it? That crazy blue cheese?
Oregon.
Oregon?
Yeah.
And
Rogue River Blue.
I was about to say, it's got to be Rogue.
Best cheese in the world. Yeah. So that one, I mean, that one's just like insane. I mean, they only milk the cows on the winter equinox, and
under the full moon.
It's wrapped in pear leaves that have been or it's wrapped in what is it? Syrah leaves that have been macerated in pear brandy.
And that was a cheese you probably could have gotten until it won that award. Now it's impossible to get.
We actually got more of it. We probably went through 5 or 6 wheels of it this year, which was actually
wow.
So one of the good things about us is we're not the biggest shop in the world, but we have, since we've all been in the business for a long time, we've been able to build really good relationship with producers. So one cheese in particular, like Black Betty, is a Gouda. It's produced by the same company, Fromagerie Lamousse, that makes the signature that you have there. So they only make a few wheels of this for the entire world. It only comes out in the fall of each year. I've seen cheese shops in New York City, like Bedford Cheese Shop is one of my favorite cheese shops in New York City. They're like, wow, I can't believe we got a wheel of it. And this year we were able to get 2. And next year, we'll probably be able to get 3 or 4. So it's just, it's not always about being the biggest guy. It's just being about, you know, building those relationships with the producers so you can get what you need, you know, to our customer. I honestly hope that our customers will. Sometimes I don't think they realize what exactly they're getting at this point. Like Lemieux's Signature, the Gouda that you got,
Dude, it is
that's one of the top
insanely
3 Goudas
good.
in the entire world.
I mean,
You know,
what makes this so different? Like, I love Gouda. I've always eaten Gouda, but it's like, this is so dry and so crumbly, but it is like so creamy and so dense. Like, what just makes that different?
So it's the milk quality and time. I mean, Fromagerie Lemieux's makes very few things. I mean, they only make a few cheeses. They figured out what they can do, and they just do it right. And that's only imported by one company into the United States. So that comes into Essex Street Cheese, which is in their warehouses in Brooklyn. So it comes straight from them, and then we get it. And I mean, they've taken they're just very serious about their craft is Gouda, and they do it.
So, what is your favorite style of cheese? I mean, is it asking a brewer what's your favorite beer? Is it that same
Right.
kind of?
Yeah, it goes day by day. You know, I eat a lot of cheese, so
As you should. As you should.
you know, I'm pretty excited. So we're getting an Italian cheese that we usually have all the time back in tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed. That is one of my all-time favorites, and I haven't been able to get it for a while. So I think that if I get it tomorrow, I'll say that would be my favorite cheese. It's called Latour. It's a soft ripened Italian cheese from Alta Lenga. And it's goat, sheep, and cow milk all blended together. It comes in a little cupcake about that big around and about that tall. And it's just incredible. Because you get every aspect that you want from the milks. You know, you get the tanginess from the goat milk, you get the richness from the sheep milk, and then you get the just mouthfeel from the cow milk. So it all just combines together to be just an incredible experience.
Do you see a lot of people doing that? Do you see a lot of people blending the milks like in wines or, you know, certain different whiskeys to get a different, you know, like from one barrel of whiskey, blending in a bunch of barrels together to get a more overall beautiful richness? Do you see that a lot in cheese?
You do. It's just different. You know, in whiskey, you can blend the finished product to figure out exactly what you want. You know, if you have you have a 10-year and you try it and you say, well, that's not really what I wanted, you know, you can blend it with however many things you want. Cheese is a little different because you have to do it from the beginning. You know, it's not like, you know, 2 years from now, you're like, dang, I'm going to put some goat milk in that, you know. So it's a little different in that aspect, but we have been seeing a lot more mixed milk cheeses become prevalent. So Jasper Hills, which you have the Alpha Tolman there in front of you, that's one of the kind of premier artisan cheesemakers in the country. Mateo Keller is their main cheesemaker. He's a very, very quirky, awesome guy. Super nice, but he does just fantastic. They have a huge microbiology lab that they are in there just figuring out exactly what cultures and what molds and everything that needs to be there for the cheese to develop the flavor that you want. They have probably definitely the best in the country cave system. They built this giant artificial aging facility, artificial cave system, I'll say. It is a real aging facility. It's not artificial in that man. But So now a lot of people will send them cheese to age in their cave system, but so they just now started buying goat milk from people. So now they're coming out with goat and cow milk blended cheeses that they've never done before, and some of them are pretty funky, but they are delicious.
That's what's cool about this one is it has this really funky earthiness to it.
Yeah.
This beautiful kind of textural thing that is just, it's pretty insane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of their, so that is modeled after, like a Swiss Alpine style. So that's going to be kind of reminiscent of a Gruyere or a Comté from France. So those are the cheeses that kind of inspired that Alpha Tolman. But that's one of my favorites. And we also have a version of the Alpha Tolman that they actually then coat in hay to age, and it's incredible to see the difference. I think that personally they were just walking through the field with a wheel of cheese and dropped it, and they were like, let's see what happens, but it worked out. So you can try, if you have any left, you can try that next time you're down.
Definitely.
If you bring a bottle of whiskey.
I can make that dream come true. Is there any cheeses that are finished in like beer, wine, or whiskey that you really notice a big difference in the cheese?
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. So another Sequatchie Cove cheese. So they've got one that they wrap a blue cheese. It's kind of reminiscent of the Rogue River Blue. So they wrap it in local fig leaves that they boil in Chattanooga whiskey. And that really, and then they vacuum seal it as soon as they do that. So that imparts a lot of the flavor from the whiskey and the fig leaves. We also have several, so washed rind cheese is a style of cheese where they're constantly washing the outside of the cheese with a brine solution. And what a lot of people now are doing is mixing beer or spirits into that brine solution.
Okay.
So we'll have a washed rind cheese that's been washed in, a hard cider, or we have Jasper Hills has Ginnamere right now. So it's a washed rind cheese that they put gin in the brine solution as they're washing it. So you get a little bit of that floral, juniper,
herbaceous
in the rind. Yeah. So yeah, there's a ton of that. Beer has always been really prevalent. A lot of even like Trappist monks, they make beer and they make cheese, and they would use the beer to wash the cheese. So some, like Chimay, everybody knows Chimay beer. Chimay also has cheese that they wash with that same beer. And, I think you get a little bit more of the notes from the spirits than you do with the beer, just because generally speaking, washed rind cheeses are pretty full flavored anyway. So a lot of the beer notes are kind of lost in the aging process, in my personal opinion. Every palate's different, but a lot of the ones that utilize spirits, you do get a lot of those notes coming through.
Awesome. Do you ship cheese, or how far and how long can you do that?
We have in the past. We try not to, just because it's so expensive. I mean, if you want to and you're willing to do that, then cool. We're still a small shop. If we were, Murray's cheese, then yeah, sure. If we have, locations all over the country, then it'd be a lot easier for us to ship. But right now, it's usually about $30 to $40 in shipping to get pretty much anywhere. That's just to get to South Georgia. I mean, I could almost use less money and gas driving the cheese to the places that it costs
Yourself,
cheese.
actually getting it there yourself.
Yeah, especially in the summer, because we have to pack so much ice in there just to make sure.
I didn't know if there was a trick.
We're very big sticklers on food safety here, because we've all worked in kitchens and stuff like that. So we maybe go a little bit overboard on our shipping, on our packaging and our ice packs, but we just want to be sure that if we do ship it and you pay for it, that you're going to get the best quality product that you could.
Very nice.
So yes and no.
I feel bad I've taken up a lot of your time. Does anybody else have any questions for Jesse as far as cheese? I think I always jump in first before everybody else.
This is awesome, man. This is super knowledgeable too. So thank you very much for your time, man.
Oh no, thank you. Thanks everybody for coming out. Thanks Evan for having me.
Of course, Jesse. I love your shop. I love everything you do. I feel terrible that other people can't try these cheeses. If anybody's coming into Nashville, let me know ahead of time. I will have these cheeses because it is a life-changing event. All of these are insanely good. And I've grown up in the restaurant industry, and I've run bars and everything, and I've had a ton of different cheeses, really high-end wine producers and stuff. Like, find me the best stuff and blah, blah, blah. And Nashville's good, but these are literally just off the charts.
Evan, I do have one more question. It's kind of a joke, but I always mess around with people. The proper way to say mozzarella, because I grew up in Brooklyn and we say mutz, but I really want to know the proper way to say it.
New Haven says mutz too, okay? This is
Thank you,
not
Jeremy.
exclusive to Brooklyn.
So Jesse, what's the correct?
Well, we're in Tennessee, so people just say pizza cheese.
I have this sharp pain underneath my rib.
I have to bite my tongue so many. So here's a public service announcement. Manchego doesn't have another N in it. Okay, it's not Manchango. I want everybody to pass that word along. I feel like the more people that just say it, maybe eventually everybody that comes in here won't say that. I will be able to sleep better at night.
I love that. Manchango.
I feel like I have to say Manchango now next time I go to my cheese shop in Connecticut.
My wife says it just because I say it. So we say it so many times now, just joking. We're like, hey, I need some of that Manchango, Mike. And now she just says it on accident.
So how do you say mutz? How do you say mutz, Jesse?
I say mozzarella just because I am, from East Tennessee. Let me get here. I got a ringer.
Or should I say bless your heart?
But there you go. It is the South. You just if you said mozz, they would just walk right out of the store. They're like, I don't want that.
I lived there long enough to accept that if you give it a good college try, then it's
so here we go. We've got my partner in crime, Chris. Chris grew up in New York and Connecticut, so ask him the question.
How do you say, Tommy? Do you want to take it, Tommy?
Why do I spell it M-U-T-Z? Am I doing this right? Is it mutz? Mozzarella?
Yeah. Right?
Listen to that romance.
Where did the cheese come from?
You know why it is? In New York, your heavy density of Sicilian population led to the predominant pronunciation of the cold cuts. And so, you might say capicola, but in Sicily, they shorten it to capigol or gabagool. And it's just a Sicilian thing. It's just a dialectical thing. So that influenced the whole Northeast population.
I've never heard an Italian say mozzarella.
Right. Right.
And I've been all over the country.
I also didn't know that there was a T.O. I didn't know there was a T.O. in prosciutto until I was like 22. I was always prosciutto.
Oh, yeah. So cool.
Until yesterday.
I have a question. Is the bane of your existence, cheese guys, cutting cheese into cubes?
No, I think it's more people, really what the worst thing that you can say to me, I think, which we get a lot, being in the Southeast. Oh, you know, I like all cheese. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. What's your favorite? Smoked Gouda. Like, oh, smoked Gouda is the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Like, damn you, smoke Gouda.
That's not, nobody wants that. Come on.
Oh,
Get out of here.
I found.
Can I get the mozzarella that comes with the breading and the red sauce? Where is that in your case? Where's the,
Right, yeah.
the stick mozzarella? Where can I find it?
Yes.
We
Yes.
call that fried moots.
Mud woods, yeah.
Because I found it, we do a lot of cheese stuff, Evan, right? With the mac and cheese and things like that. That a lot of guys, I'll go to one shop, they'll say, yeah, we don't cube. And I go, yeah, but I got 45 people I need to, so I can't go to you if you won't cube. And they just like, yeah, I'm not doing it. So then I go to another place and sometimes they'll do it and sometimes they won't. And then I go to another place and they'll always do it. And I go, I guess this is a thing. I don't
So
want to.
we usually don't cube. If you just say, I need it into bite-sized pieces, then usually what we'll do is cut a wedge of cheese and then cut it into, you know, a little triangle like that. So everybody actually has just a slice of the actual wedge of cheese. So cube, I don't personally like to cube. You know, if we do, generally what we'll do is, like if we have a Gouda that we're gonna put on a plate, then we use our palm tools and just kind of chip it instead of cubing it. You know, a perfectly square piece of cheese to me generally, you know, it's like getting a half gallon in a plastic bottle. It may be good inside, but I don't really trust that it's good inside.
So you're saying that the way the cheese is cut actually affects the flavor.
Well, it does too, yeah. You know.
So I don't need it cubed. I just need it individually pieced.
The
So-
wedges are even better because you get some of the rind with it too. So if people want to see the rind or sort of like, I will eat the rind, I have no cares. But it's a part of the characteristic of the cheese. So I love the way they do it because it showcases that it's a real cheese.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's really funny because with Reggiano, my mother will absolutely lose her mind if you try to slice it. She says how you have to break it off. That is, be specific. And literally, like, I almost got stabbed doing this.
That's how we break down every wheel of Reggiano that we get with traditional farm tools that we get in from, well, coincidentally Holland, but they are traditional farm tools. But yeah.
And when they cut it in the shop too, they just have like that piano wire cutting board thing. That's amazing. It just zips through, I mean, anything.
Almost anything. A lot of wires break on that Gouda that you have there.
Oh my God. It's like beautiful cement. I love it. Well, guys, thank you so much for talking to us about cheese today. You've got a lot of people who love spirits, who love whiskey, who have a long history in it. But yeah, I want everybody to know that this is absolute perfect pairing. And y'all are geeky like we are. So that's the passion that you have is the passion that we have for whiskeys and rums and tequilas. So
we have the same passion too. We just sell cheese.
And I will repay that. I will find your whiskey passion needs. That will happen.
Yes.
Nice.
Guys, thank y'all so much. I'm gonna let everybody go. I know it's a long week and everybody's got a lot of stuff to do, but thanks for stopping into the Speakeasy today and tasting with us and walking around and getting a little bit of that bard experience and talking about really the most top-notch cheese I've ever had.
That was great, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff, guys. Thank you so much.
You guys be all right. Take care.
You too.
Bada bing.